Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us this week as our returning special guest, the voice of Lord Adornable himself from If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, Superanchors.
Greetings, Imperial citizens. I have returned once again to fortify not only your minds, your souls, but also your bodies.
The fact that we were just talking before the show and you weren't doing the Dawn voice and now you're doing the Dawn voice completely threw me for half a second.
Yeah, it throws most people through a fucking brick wall.
It just shows how good you are at doing the voice though, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So, how is everyone doing this week?
Yeah, not too bad. Lots of stuff to talk about in the news. Sorry, this is going to be one of those Tactica Talks about Age of Sigmar a lot episodes again. Sorry. But that's what the big thing was on Saturday, so come at me. But yeah, not too bad. It's nearly half term again here, so just winding up the teaching, ready for assessment.
I've found a profound love of BattleTech, as irrelevant as that is to Warhammer.
I mean, it's tabletop.
I mean, considering the fact that the new Titanicus stuff is coming out, that's also pretty cool. I guess kind of in the same ballpark.
Yeah, and I remember last episode that you were on your own. Obviously, you were with us, I think, for 100. We spent a fair bit of time talking about like all the tactical stuff to do with Tau, and this time that's not going to happen because I haven't played the game since the new edition came out.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of BattleTech, I just remember this one thing, very briefly, that, you remember the old BattleTech cartoon?
No, but go on.
Dare you refuse my patrol?
Okay, Anchors does.
Apparently, I can't remember if this is true or not, but apparently they actually canonized that in the actual lore of the actual game itself, but by saying it's in-universe propaganda or something.
Yeah, it's canon, but it's not. It didn't actually happen, but it's effectively just a cartoon series. Like, the actual cartoon is a cartoon in BattleTech.
Meta.
Very meta.
It's almost like that scene, in one of the Horus Heresy books where the Iron Warriors are playing Warhammer.
That's, is that the Talon book?
It was either Talon or Angel Exterminatus. It was one of the Iron Warrior heavy novels. It might have been Angel Exterminatus.
It was Angel
actually.
Exterminatus.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'd 50-50 shot. Fair enough.
But yes, so back on topic to Warhammer, in the news this week, a fair amount, because we had the big Saturday preview, didn't we?
We did. So this took place 6 days ago at the time of recording on the 23rd of January, the Saturday. And it was called The Dead and the Divine, which they promised previews for 40k, AOS, a couple of the subsystems, and some mysterious thing that they wouldn't reveal yet. And that turned out to be Warhammer Quest, with the return of Warhammer Quest to the Mortal Realms in Cursed City, complete with a vampire hunter and an exploding internet.
Which is just basically Bloodborne, but with Warhammer in it.
I mean, the guy in the trailer sat on their throne just like straight up. It looks straight like they just copied the Jarl of Skyrim with that pose and all of that. But having not played Bloodborne or other horror games, I certainly see the aesthetic influences in it. Like the Gravekeeper model that they revealed with the shovel axe and the sort of thing over his face and all of that. It was definitely ripped and improvised from horror games.
The villain was called The Wolf, and hey, what's in Bloodborne? Giant wolf monsters.
Right.
You all remember the cleric
missed
beast.
that one.
But yes, going back to 40k briefly, new Sisters of Battle stuff, let's be honest, they're getting their own baby carriers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
everybody... sorry, go ahead. I was going to say that basically everybody... Remember, the Tau can't have anything unique. Everybody gets battlesuits now.
Well, yeah. So this is the Paragon Warsuit. Essentially a scaled-down, single-pilot walker piloted by a Sister of Battle with her hands rather than a Grey Knight with magical powers. And I quite like it. I've seen a lot of memes. I've seen various... I think it was Nundum was the meme that went round.
Mobile Suit Nundum, yeah.
That's the one. But I think it's very simple for a Sisters of Battle model, which I quite like. And the design of it is generally pretty good as long as you remember to put a helmet on it.
Speaking of which, there was a really cool conversion picture going around where someone covered up the head and replaced it with the Anchorite Penitent War Engine. Yeah, so it had basically kind of the faceless Mars kind of thing, and it looked really cool.
Yeah, we'd have to see if the scales match up between the engine and the Paragon to see if it works, but it definitely sounds like a cool idea if they can pull it off.
Definitely.
And this all obviously is the prelude to the Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Sororitas 9th edition Codex. We know they're getting one because they were getting the Palatine in the Piety and Pain box with the Thesprax that we discussed last episode, or the episode before. So we knew they were going to get a Codex, and they've promised that this is not the last thing for the Sororitas this year. So I get the feeling, and I talked about this in my video earlier this week, in fact it went out today, now I think about it. Essentially what I think they're doing is the original run of the 8th edition Codex was, let's just make all the old Sisters of Battle into plastic and call it a day. 9th edition is, now let's make an actual army out of them.
Speaking of Nundum, Ram, little detraction from the news, but have I showed you this conversion? Oh, Tactica, have I showed you this conversion as well?
I certainly haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Here. This was something I worked on recently, because I'm a big Tau guy, as you know. And,
yes.
What do you think?
Is that like a Riptide with a Megazord head or something?
No, that is a Riptide with a Full Metal Panic Arbalist conversion. Everything is posable.
So he basically made an action figure.
Yeah,
nice.
Basically.
That is very cool. And as someone who plays Faster Enclaves myself, I would be very down for a Riptide with a giant sword like that. I have to say, that's very, very cool.
Very.
But yeah, I see your point as well, Anchors, about Tau can't have nice things because between the Invicta Warsuit, the Paragon Warsuit, obviously the Dread Knight, which is kind of different but similar, it is like, okay, so we used to have a monopoly on single pilot, fast-moving war machines. The only thing unique now about the battlesuit is that it can fly.
Oh, not even, because I think using psychic powers, can't Grey Knights also make their suit fly?
They can make it shunt teleport, I think. They can give it a shunt teleport. I think the fly psychic power is buried in Blood Angels for their dreadnoughts.
Ah, okay, yeah, so... There's a lot of flying walkers around here.
Yeah, before you know it, they'll have flying Imperial Knights, and then the world will truly end. I'm joking, of course. They'll never make flying Imperial Knights.
You say that. You say that, but now you've inspired someone in Nottingham to go, hey, that's a good idea. I mean, if they can make Jump Pack Dreadnoughts and Horus Heresy for the Blood Angels, I'm pretty sure they're going to make a Jump Pack Knight somehow.
You're hurting my insides.
I know.
Please stop.
Okay, speaking of hurting insides, new kill team, Pariah Nixus, yes, which is still using the old Warhammer 40,000 logo inexplicably, but I'm not complaining because it's actually the better logo. I'm sorry, but it is.
It is. It is. So yes, this box is going to be the debut for the new Heavy Intercessors and Flayed Ones in a box that puts them against each other in a 1 versus 1 matchup because it's 5 to a squad on both sides. Have you ever seen a more unfair box? I mean, yes, you have, but 5 3-wound damage 2 Super Bolter Primaris Space Marines versus 5 Flayed Ones who, at least from previous history, go down to white wet
also,
tissue paper.
Aren't they also in Gravis armor as well, which is basically like the Primaris equivalent to Terminator armor?
They are in Gravis armor. It is very unbalanced unless that Chronomancer is ludicrously OP in Kill Team. But it is what it is.
How are the Necrons rules this edition for things like, regeneration and stuff like that? Like, can they come back and reactivate or whatever?
I think they still have. I think reanimation protocols has gone from a get knocked down, get back up again, like it used to be in like 3rd and 5th edition, to just a save after save roll, like the Death Guard discussed in the Resilient.
Right, got it.
I think they did that in 8th edition, and I don't remember how it works in 9th because I don't have the Codex. I haven't been playing it. So
how it works is after every attack cycle from a unit, you roll your resurrection dice, and depending on bonuses, you can get up to a 4-up recover a wound. However, let's say you have a 3-wound model. You roll 3 dice. 1 dice for every wound. If you don't roll, let's say you apply as many buffs as you can, giving you a 4-up success. If you don't get all 3 dice to be a 4-up, that model does not come back.
Right.
Oh, so it's not like you roll against each individual wound. You roll against the death, and your odds get worse the more wounds you took.
Well, it's more like however many wounds you have is how much you're going to eat shit when it comes to trying to come back. So, like, Necron warriors are going to come back relatively easily just because they're 1-wound models. You just need a single 4-up if you buff them quite well to get them to come back up. Something like a Canoptic, spider or whatever has like 3 wounds or 4 wounds, and you have to roll because it died. It has 4 wounds you have to regenerate.
Yes.
So you roll 4 dice, and if you don't get all 4 to be what you need, it's not coming back.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it gets harder the tankier you are to sort of make it easier to put the characters down if you could put the work in. That makes sense.
Kind of, but I mean, if you like throw a full unit of Eradicators at a Canoptic Spider unit and they lose 2 of their guys, you're probably going to get 1 back.
Yeah, because you're then rolling 8 dice, needing 4 4s to bring back 1 guy, aren't you? Because you don't roll for each model. Yeah, okay, I follow.
Well, it's 5-up, but I mean 4-up when you got bonuses and shit.
Yeah, I follow you. I follow the logic now. I just haven't seen it on tabletop because I haven't played a game of Warhammer, as I've said multiple times. I didn't play a game of Warhammer in 2020. So. Oh,
side note, if anybody listening to this is a Necron player that brings 3 Catan shards, in all seriousness, go fuck yourself. No, I'm serious. Like, that's not even like a ha funny joke. Like, you're actually... If you're fighting a Tau player and you bring 3 fucking Catan shards, you're an absolute piece of shit and you need to go fuck yourself.
Right. Well, I think we might need to put this one through the ad monetization review because we've only been going for like 10 minutes.
It's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Sorry. I'm a little salty as a Tau player, having faced that numerous times.
Look, so long as on the monetization guidelines I put down this bad language, I'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forgive me.
No, you're absolutely fine. It's all good, honestly. I mean, do you remember episode 100? Sorry, Ram.
Oh, sorry, carry on. No, sorry.
No, I'm done now.
Okay. But speaking of heavy firepower, going from Tau, because heavy firepower, that's one thing Tau are known for. For Adeptus Titanicus, we got a new Titan, the Warmaster. So for everyone saying it was the Imperator, go fuck yourselves, you were wrong.
Now... I'm not super well... I've done videos on Titans before. Is the Warmaster... What records do we have of the Warmaster prior to Saturday? Because I don't remember hearing it. Is it brand new?
It's basically what it is. It's the original Warlord Titan design from the 1980s that's basically been updated and made into a new class of Titan.
Right, okay, because I wasn't sure with it being a Horus Heresy game whether it was an obscure piece of fiction buried away and we just never heard it talked about in depth that it existed. I didn't know.
I'll drag you a picture, because this is one of my Discord mods actually posted this because she's a massive Titan nerd. And basically this is what the actual thing was based on, which, as you can see with the armor plating on the torso and the legs and the giant shoulder pads, it pretty much is the same thing.
Right down to the missile gun in its knee.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's basically to say, like, hey, we got this old Titan art that doesn't match anything we do. Fuck it, we'll just make it into a brand new class of Titan. And let's be honest, Horus Heresy and Adeptus Titanicus, they like to, go through some of the older designs, and to update them for a modern audience. Like, with the banana sickle magazine missile launchers, for example, or the really old Terminators being done for, like, the Custodian Dreadnoughts, for example. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, true. I wasn't sure, because I know my Titans relatively well, but I wasn't 100%. And I know, obviously, why a lot of people were saying it would be the Imperator, because with the Warmaster being a brand new invention, everyone was going to have to assume it was the Imperator.
But do you remember last time when we saw a teaser for the stone in the previous episode, when I said, it's probably not because of the vents? I called it, didn't I?
I mean, you did call it, and fair play for being right. But you can understand why, considering they didn't know this Titan existed, people would go for the Imperator.
Understandable, yeah, but even then, when they post the teaser pictures of like the ankle and the leg, and people say, "Oh, it's an Imperator," and you got people saying, "No, the feet are all wrong for an Imperator because an Imperator has
platoon in its toe."
An Imperator has literal steps for its toes because it's it's a fucking cathedral for legs, pretty much, isn't it?
It does beg the question, though. Are we ever going to see? Because now that they've done this, do you think we'll actually see an Imperator in Titanicus?
In Titanicus, yeah, I reckon we will. Maybe not for for 40k games like we have with the Warlord. I can't imagine them doing an Imperator, for that scale because that might be a bit too big.
Will they do a Warmaster?
Possibly, because they did actually release a size chart, didn't they, of all the Titans based on how
they did.
And this is what how much
head and shoulders above a Reaver.
I mean, how much bigger than a Warlord is this one, though?
It's it sits, if you measure across the top of a Warlord's sort of shoulders, the shoulders sort of land about halfway up the Warmaster's head, but the easiest way I think about it when you look at the model is it's head and shoulders above a Reaver. So the Reaver tops out at its chin, just for context.
Right.
Which is a bit terrifying.
No, what's
what's
terrifying is the rules for its shoulder-mounted cannon.
Plasma destruct. Oh, the shoulder guns, not even the plasma destruct.
Yeah, because apparently they can fire. They have an unrestricted arc of fire, 360 apparently, or something absurd like that.
Oh yeah, there was an Engine Kill article on Tuesday, where it says that has expanded damage and critical track, so it's even tankier. It's got 7 void shields. You're only allowed to have 1 per Titan maniple, for whatever that matters. The Plasma Destructor is 3 dice at strength 11 and D10 damage. And they've got really good ways of venting off excess energy. And the Revelator missile launcher, which is what you're referring to, has got the shoulder-mounted weapons customizing to things with Vulcan Mega Bolters, melter cannons, laser destructors, or an Inferno gun, Apocalypse missile array, plasma blast gun. It doesn't say in here about a 360 arc of fire, or does it?
I'm going to try and find it, because apparently it has the most absurd firepower of any class of Titan in the game, to the point where it's pretty much broken. They probably have to nerf it.
Well, looking at the arcs on all the weapons, they show the arc on the weapon card.
Let me try and find a thing.
They show the arcs on all the weapon cards, and all the shoulder guns have got a sort of 90-degree V arc of fire. The missile launcher is straight ahead, and the plasma destructors are in that 90-degree V as well. It doesn't say anywhere about 360-degree fire on here, and I might be missing it because I don't know how to read Titanicus command terminals all that well.
Right, okay, I found it. This is basically what Aubrey said. Again, the massive Titan nerd. It's fucking broken. Shoulder weapons have no carapace rules, meaning there's no firing restrictions, despite the weapons being at the same height as a Warlord's guns, a bit higher. It's more maneuverable than a Warlord, and the shoulder weapons are all 90-degree arcs, meaning that it doesn't need a turn to bring about more firepower than a Warlord could dream of.
Yeah, because the Revelator missile launcher has the carapace trait and a straightforward arc of fire. All these other weapons have not got that rule and have that 90-degree arc of fire. So if you stand it in the middle of a battlefield at the back, which you probably can most of the time, it does have pretty much total coverage of the board. And that the Apocalypse missile array has 120-inch range. You are not dodging it.
Now imagine someone's a big enough arsehole to bring about 3 of them to a game.
You can't.
I know, but imagine someone tried that. That'd be hilarious.
And it costs more than 2 Warlords, and you can only have 1 of it.
850 points, isn't it?
Again, I don't see number. Oh yeah, 850 points plus guns.
Yeah.
So if you bring 2 plasma destructors and say the missile array, 2 missile arrays, then it's going to set you back 1,010, I think.
Fair enough.
920, yeah, 1,010, and it tops out at 1,090. So it is very, very expensive. Oh, no, you get the missiles and the shoulder guns. I stand corrected. So you get the missile launcher and the shoulder guns. Okay, gee whiz. Okay, yeah, that's... I don't even play this game, and I'm actually literally terrified. And the trailer for it said that the thing in real life would be... Well, not in real life model, but if it was built, the trailer called like the attack
feet.
of the 134 feet. 134 foot. Bear in mind that 6 foot is 2 meters, which is the average height. Well, so slightly above average height for a human, but 134 over 6. You're looking at about 40 meters, 45 meters in height. Just for context. Blimey heck.
I think that takes us up onto the Age of Sigmar stuff, where the Lumineth are getting some new stuff, including a furry.
I mean, is it really, though? Is it not just simply a mountain spirit?
It is exactly that. It's actually not. The mountain spirit is the battle cattle. The Alarith mega...
It's a foxman with a goat mask.
But at the same time, is it simply not an existential representation of being a furry?
How did you manage to take my favourite model for the entire show and make it weird to the point I can't talk about it in 30 seconds?
Look, it's not like people have been making porn of it or anything, so don't worry.
Well, I hate to ruin that concept. I hate to bring this up.
We got the head desk. Hey!
That is the first head desk of 2021. God damn it.
I hate to bring this up, Tactica, to ruin
Anchors,
your good time.
don't, wherever you're going, don't.
You know, you can hear the keyboard typing as you can, clearly
I'm just
tell.
not clicking on Discord. I'm just not clicking on Discord for the next hour. Right. So this is Severeth, the Lord of the Seventh Wind, which is the equivalent to a Valinor the Stoneheart King, which is the giant massive cow with a volcano on its back. It is amazing. It is a fox, goat, antelope, archer creature. It is absolutely beautiful, and I want it in my army right now. It will be accompanying a lot of different infantry units, as well as the Huracan Kangaroo Cavalry that were leaked on Tuesday, as well as the Venari Lord Regent that was leaked on Tuesday. Thank you, Potato Cam, and then a GW article. It is amazing. I want it now. Although I am confused why we're getting 2 Lumineth armies, effectively 2 Battletones worth, in the space of a year. It's kind of weird.
Sorry.
I'm just not clicking on Discord. But they also revealed in the trailer a bunch of silhouettes for a bunch of Lumineth models as well. Like, I think they're rebooting the Swordmaster of Hoeth, they're rebooting the Battle Standard Bearer, they're rebooting the Repeater Bolt Thrower. There's a lot of really cool models that are silhouetted in that trailer, and I can't wait to see them all fully revealed and then dropped as part of Broken Realms Techless, the second book in the Broken Realms arc, where Techless is going to go and curb stomp Nagash into the ground to pave the path for AOS 3, in my personal opinion.
And the other thing you're excited about is the Daughters of Cain Battletome.
Yeah, so Broken Realms completely invalidated the Daughters of Cain Battletome because it rewrote Marathi, so they needed a new book, and they're getting it, which is great. I talked about it in full length in my video, if you want to go and watch it. I made a big deal about the cover art being a snake instead of a witch elf because artistic reasons, and I've got a really nice flavour behind why that is. And it's also being accompanied by new endless spells, including a Grasped Heart, a Giant Blood Snake, and a Vortex of Blood Swords. So there's a lot of cool stuff. And they're all coming with the Hedonites of Slanesh, so I assume it's going to be in February that these guys come out, which is excellent for me, but not so much for my bank account, because then I've got to get ready for all the Lumineth as well. Oh boy, fun. So yeah, that's the AOS section.
Are we thinking we're going to see some of these units in Total Warhammer 3?
Unless they make Total Warhammer 3 Immortal Realms game, no.
That's a point.
Because
Did anyone see the teaser trailer for it?
I did, yes. So there was a teaser trailer from Total War that was then reshared by Warhammer Community, which was a trailer about Azir Awakening. Now, that's not Azir, the mortal realm of heavens. That's Azir, the wind of heavens from the old world. The wind of magic for the lore of heavens was Azir. And it shows a celestial mage scrying in the sky and seeing this cool star constellation feature. I don't pretend to understand it because I'm not an astronomer as much as I know my astrophysics. I'm not an astronomer. And it didn't give too much away. But I assume that means we're going to get the Celestial Huracanum into Total Warhammer 2. Alongside probably someone else who uses the stars. It may be something for the Lizard Men. It may be something for the Skaven involving Morstlieb. I don't know. We will see what it brings.
I know Oculus said that he thinks it could potentially be Dwarf DLC.
The wizard in the trailer mentions the dwarves by name.
Ah, okay.
So it may be something for the dwarves. I don't think there's formal confirmation in the trailer of seeing any dwarves, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah. It could just be like, hey, all the races are getting new wizards or something. I don't know.
I mean, if they want to do the Storm of Magic expansion, like back when they did Endless Spells before it was cool, then they could do that because Storm of Magic was a thing back in fantasy. It's when they introduced like the Balewind Vortex and stuff. It was quite cool, I remember. Because you had objective markers that were also terrain features and only your wizards could garrison them and they all got bonuses and protection when they were stood on top of them. I remember that expansion. I don't know why I remember it so well, but I do. But yeah, it could be something to go along that route. Who knows? Moving along Saturday's preview, we then landed on the next Diachasm warband, the Crimson Court, and the internet completely melted. These models, these vampire models are wow.
They are really nice.
I'm sorry. They are amazing. I remember watching Kirioth's video and he was absolutely gushing over them. And rightly so, because they're all like, if you were a Vampire Counts player from 2010 and people said, hey, these are the next 4 models coming to Vampire Counts, people would just say, so you've just given us 4 named characters, have you? And no one would bat an eyelid because they could all be named heroes in the Vampire Counts back in the day. Particularly like the leader who's got the Von Karstein type armor and the winged vampire with the mace and the one who looks like he's like a bit like Manfred Von Karstein but more badass with no ab armor and the giant stupidly huge mace. They are some really good models.
Yeah, I like a lot of the work that's been put into them. I think you could probably get some really crazy conversions if you took some of the Dark Eldar stuff and mix the models.
Yeah, the Dark Elf and Dark Eldar stuff would certainly really fit into theme, particularly with some of them because of the segmented armor plating. Definitely.
I meant with just like the new vampire stuff. Maybe even some of the old vampire stuff. You're giving me ideas here, Tactica.
And we know that these guys are the forerunner to the Soul Blight Grave Lords, which are going to be not the next battle tome for Age of Sigmar. That's obviously Slanesh and Daughters of Cain. But not long off into this year, we saw a Vampire Lord with giant bat hair that divided opinion because bat hair. But
the Disney princess.
It was a really cool looking model. Say again?
I said the Disney princess.
I admit I hadn't made that connection.
You know how like in Disney films, like you got the birds and that with the hair, but this one is bats. No, just me.
No, sorry, that one went past me, I'm afraid. But we do know that there will be a Soul Blight book because of that leak on Tuesday last week. So that's a thing that's coming. We thought we might get the book on the day of the preview. We didn't because we got Daughters instead. But still, lovely models, and I can't wait to see what they do when they finally update Blood Knights out of resin, because, oh god, the Blood Knights models are amazing, but also awful. And then finally was Warhammer Quest Cursed City. We already mentioned this at the top of the segment with the Gravekeeper horror guy and the Vampire Hunter that basically everyone who plays Inquisition is rushing to grab because they've got a Condemner bolt rifle.
Pretty much.
Kinda. It's a really nice model, though, this Vampire Hunter. Oh,
and one thing we also, the other thing that happened in the interim between episodes was also the Black Library celebration, wasn't it? The reveal.
Yeah, certainly they previewed it. I don't think has it actually happened?
It's the first glimpse, sorry.
Yeah. So the Blight celebration itself is taking place in February and will span across 2 weeks over the next 4, because obviously this is coming out in February. The headliner is Uriel Ventris and the Swords of Calth, which we got revealed a bit ago. A couple of weeks ago, we saw Uriel Ventris and his model with the derby haircut.
Yeah, I mean, the face, it still just looks like it's Kristen Weston Chandler, but...
Fair enough. And they've also said that there's going to be books. They've also mentioned about Beckwin, the Beckwin books from Dan Abnett. Is one of the other headliners. The Liber Xenologis is going to be coming out, or be probably shown off.
With a pin badge set.
With a pin badge set of Orc, Necron, Drakari, Tau with a ghost keel face, and Tyranids. Yeah, they're actually some really cool pin badges. I like those.
We're also getting the 20th anniversary edition of the Hammers of Ulrich novel as well. Is it anthology or novel? I can't remember.
It says it is the 2nd volume of Blood Quest.
No, not that one. The Hammers of Ulrich one.
Sorry. A 20th anniversary edition of Hammers of Ulrich, the 2nd volume of the... I've misread that sentence because of the placement of the comma. Sorry. So it's Warhammer Chronicles and it's got 3 authors, so I assume it's a series of shorts or novellas rather than one novel.
The funny thing is that the spine just has Dan Abnett written on it.
Oh yeah, it does.
That's weird.
Oh yeah. That is weird. But as I mentioned, because I accidentally said it, Blood Quest gets its 2nd volume on print to order, and Reader's Choice is Dead Men Walking and Malice Darkblade because people like edgelords. I mean, Malice is just a massive edgelord. He just is.
I still remember when he first debuted in the comics for Warhammer Monthly. God, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Back in the days of 2nd edition 40k, which was about 5th edition fantasy.
And about the time I was born.
Remember picking up the issues in W.H. Smith's back in the day?
Yeah, fair enough.
Because for some reason the Games Workshop store in my town didn't stock them. It was only W.H. Smith that stocked it, which was really weird. You imagine Games Workshop would stock the fucking Warhammer comic, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, my local Tesco is selling the Mortal Realms magazine. My local gaming store isn't.
Weird.
Granted, it's not a DW, but not the point. If you are French or German speaking, then the Uriel Ventris novel and Pariah will be translated into your language as well, as will Penitent into German and Bloodlines into French. So there's going to be a few translations, which is always good. I remember when I was in France that you basically couldn't buy any new Black Library material because it hadn't been translated yet. Which is one of those things. And
you'll also be getting the Celebration Anthology as well.
They will indeed. So in terms of orders, the pre-orders will go up on the 20th of February. And if the store is open, which it won't be in the UK, but it might be where you are, from the 27th, they can be picked up in person, and every purchase will get you a free copy of the anthology with 5 shorts from 40k and AOS. In the week leading up to that, so presumably the week of commencing the 22nd, there'll be daily articles in the new books and the history, and in the week leading up to the 20th, there'll be those articles. In the week between the pre-order and the release, there'll be ebook short stories every day, including Caiaphas Cain and Gotrek Gurnison. The celebration itself starts on Sunday the 14th on Warhammer Community, so we've got plenty coming for that. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of books here I do kind of want to pick up. Swords of Calth, Liber Xenologis. I'm not so fussed for the Beckwin stuff, but that's because I never really got into Eisenhorn and Ravener.
That's fair enough.
And I believe that Gate of Bones is going to come out in its regular print run this week. I feel like that's right.
Is it? Because I've not seen anything announcing its release date.
I don't know. Maybe I've got it wrong. That because it must have snuck out. Either it snuck out on its pre-order whilst Mortis was coming out, and therefore I've just assumed it's still available.
At the time of recording, Gate of Bones hasn't come out yet. At the time of recording,
right? Okay. Maybe I'm just being dumb in that case. It's probably just
it could
me.
just be that they haven't. They've either haven't announced it, or they're going to do a stealth pre-order thing like I did with the Yeah, because all it says is later this month, so I assume it has to be tomorrow, but there's actually no concrete date.
Yeah,
It just says
I'd
toward
have
the
to.
end of January, so I assume it'll be tomorrow, considering tomorrow's the 30th.
Yeah, where's the coming soon page? If I go find the Battle Coming Soon page, that normally tells all.
It doesn't normally give you a specific date, though. It just gives you, like, a month. Like, it's coming in January.
Sometimes it does, doesn't it?
Nope.
Or I might be being very silly and just forgetting.
It hasn't given you a specific date back since when, the Coming Soon page was on Black Library's website, before they got rid of the Coming Soon page to replace it with Warhammer Horror.
Right.
And the new one just says, February, March, January, February, March. January, February, March.
Okay, fair enough. I've got that one wrong in my own head then. My apologies. But hopefully it will be out soon. Oh, yeah, it continues this month from the 13th of January. That's why I was looking for that article and I couldn't find it. So yeah, surely it's going to drop tomorrow then.
I'll assume so.
I'll keep an eye on, if I get up in time, I'll keep an eye on that library's website, see if I can pick a copy up. Because I've started
10 a.m. UK
getting
time.
through my pile of books. Yeah, 10 a.m. Right,
10 a.m.
okay.
UK time.
I'm normally up by then. I'm just going to get to my PC in time. Okay. What else have we had this week? A bunch of articles about the Dark Angels, since they're getting their codex over the next week or so, including Ravenwing and Deathwing stuff and stuff like that, if you're interested. There was a MetaWatch article about the idea of the first turn advantage. I haven't really given this a proper read yet, but I remember that back in earlier times that going first was huge and setup and going first was a really useful thing. But this sort of is maybe suggesting that going first isn't absolutely necessary anymore. Like I said, I haven't read it in full yet. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the 40k metagame adapts. And talking about win rates in terms of going first, going second. Slaanesh is better going second. Most armies are about 5 to 20. All armies are about 5 to 20% better when they go first, unless they are Slaanesh according to their data, which is interesting. Primary victory point score, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's interesting as an article. Like I say, I haven't really properly read it. But if you are a meta person, please do feel free to check in your ideas from any tournaments you've had a chance to go to, particularly if you're in more open areas of the world where tournaments are going on. But I'm in no position to comment on 40k's metagame because, as I said, I don't play it. I haven't had a chance to actually play the thing yet, which is disappointing. What else was there? This was it. I don't remember if this was revealed in the last 2 week cycle, but I feel like it was. We were given Gretchen Wachter, or Wachter, or something like that, a new Blood Bowl star player for Sylvania, who are coming out for Blood Bowl alongside Skrull Halfite, the undead dwarf.
An undead dwarf.
Yeah, a dwarf who focused on passing, was actually rather good at it, killed in his debut game, and raised from the dead to play for the Champions of Death. And Gretchen is a widow. I think it's her official name, is that she's a widow. She's incorporeal, and she looks to be more of a... Oh, she can't handle the ball. Oh. That's interesting. She can't handle the ball. Right. Interesting. Never a fan of Blood Bowl. Husband was, and his obsession from the game ruined her life. And her spirit's animosity for Blood Bowl saw her return to avenge herself against all who play the sport. Well, that's a backstory as to why she's in the game. My husband loved this game and it ruined my life. After I became undead, I decided to kill everyone else who played it. What a weird but also kind of awesome backstory. I've already discussed Broken Realms Techless. What else was there? Oh yeah, this one kind of passed me by. AOS got its big FAQ for January 2021, which is essentially the equivalent to the 40KB FAQ. They get a biannual balance pass. And so this was the big update to various armies and things like that in the FAQs. Unfortunately, and I don't know why, the link seems to be, it doesn't seem to work right, or I can't seem to get it to work right. Because the updates, it said it was an update for the entire game, and yet only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battle tomes appear to have been updated as of January 25th, as well as the handbook, Broken Realms, the core book, Malign Sorcery, and base sizes. So it feels like something's broken on the FAQs page. I remember a lot of people getting a bit annoyed on Twitter about it, or on Twitter and Facebook, saying that the link doesn't work. So I haven't actually had a chance to read the new FAQs because I can't seem to find them half the time.
Oh, they don't always post them to the FAQ site immediately.
No, but this article was posted on like Monday, and it's still kind of broken.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's I don't really have an excuse there.
Yeah, but they have said that they've not changed any points values because of the fact that they've got less data on the amount of games being played to determine which units are actually broken. So because they don't have enough data, because there wasn't enough games going on in the past 6 months with all the lockdowns around the world, they are not changing the points values because they don't know what's broken, which is kind of a sad indictment of how little gaming has been in the past 3 to 6 months, that they don't have enough data to be able to balance patch the game in terms of points values. But they do say there'll be a major update in the next big round of FAQs, which will actually, I think, be the General's Handbook, because they normally only do 2 balance passes a year. So we will see in terms of what they decide to change when we get there. Yep. I think that covers most of us for news. There's a little bit of Diachasm, a little bit of Middle-earth, an unboxing of the Blade Guard Veterans, but who cares? Sorry. The Potato Cam article we already discussed with the Kangaroo Archer Lumineth, which broke the internet for a couple of days and then it kind of fixed itself in preparation for all of the reveals on the Saturday. It wasn't even a couple of days, it was
like, at most, like a few hours.
Yeah, people were just like, wait, the Lumineth have got Kangaroo Cavalry Archers now? What? It definitely did throw people for a while, but maybe not as long as I'm making out.
Oh, well.
There was the Venari Lord Regent, and we already mentioned the Vampire Lord with the bat hair, which does look really cool. I do like that Vampire Lord. I just think I would change the head for something else personally. I think that covers us for news then.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, it does. That covers us for news. Well, unless you want to talk about the mobile strategy game.
Mobile strategy game?
Yeah, this is Warhammer 40,000 Lost Crusade. It is a new strategy game on iOS and Android, where you take the role of a Primaris fleet commander whose ship has been separated from the Indomitus Crusade, stranded in a distant sector of the galaxy, must repair and expand your base, yada-dee. PvE combat, 3D assaults, or PvP battles in a shared galaxy with up to 35,000 players on a single map. Of course. It's a mobile game. I only have so much that I can really talk about.
Your base will take roughly 48 hours to complete, or you can speed it up now for some gems. Only cost you $5.
Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, yeah. I might give it a look, but I've got enough.
Do not spend
other
money
stuff
as
to worry
heresy. I wouldn't be surprised if they did stuff like that, to be honest.
Very fair. So yeah, that's the news. Rem, what books have you managed to land on this week?
Well, firstly, because it was my worry last episode, I did manage to get both my copies of Alfarius and Mortis. Haven't read them yet, though, because they only came, the other day.
Of course, you have your ways and means and your agents.
It's also called getting up stupid o'clock in the morning as well.
And that.
But I decided to read through a slightly older book this time, Dark Apostle.
I haven't heard of that one.
It's the first book in the Wordbearers trilogy.
Nope, still not ringing any bells.
Anthony Reynolds.
I feel like I should know that name, but every time I think Reynolds, I think Josh Reynolds, and I know that's wrong.
As well, I wonder if they're actually related.
Not sure. So when's it from? Is it an early 2000s series?
I believe so, yeah. Let me just get the actual release date. Suffice to say that spoiler warnings are not going to be needed because the book itself is bloody old.
Yeah.
When was it first released? 2007, yeah.
Okay, so just before I got into the hobby then, I'm excused for not remembering it.
Yeah, that's what, 4th edition? 5th edition, maybe?
Yeah, so 5th edition was July 2008.
Yeah, so 4th edition, okay. Right, so the basic premise of this book is that a Wordbearers warband is going to launch an invasion of this particular world because this world is going to be at the centre of a planetary alignment, and there's something hidden within the planet that the Dark Apostle of this warband wants. So they launch the invasion, and as they invade the world, they absolutely wipe the floor with the PDF and start getting the local population to build a gigantic tower called the Geheminet. I probably pronounced that wrong, but still, it's a really weird word. And they build this tower so obscenely high that the tower itself is actually starting to go into space, beyond, disobeying the laws of physics because chaos, naturally. And so, when the Imperium learns that Wordbearers have invaded this world, they send in the Elysian drop troops, which is like, ooh, Elysian drop troops in action. That's a rare treat.
Yeah, we haven't heard from them in a while.
I know.
Well, of course it wasn't. It was 2007.
And you get basically a nice, really detailed battle scene between the two. But there's a really interesting...
I'm assuming the Wordbearers win, just to clarify. They assume the Wordbearers win.
They do win, yes. When the planetary alignment does happen, they do win, yes. But there's a really interesting subplot regarding an enforcer. Local law enforcement guy.
Okay.
Because when you first meet him, he's part of an enforcer team that's tracking down, terrorists. And when they reach, when they track down this one terrorist, he's given orders by his captain to hold position and wait for reinforcements. And the guy's like, yeah, but if we raid, he's going to fuck off. I'm going after him. Chases down the terrorist. Turns out he's a chaos cultist, naturally.
As you do.
And tattooed with a symbol of the Wordbearers, naturally, foreshadowing.
As you do.
Yes. And he basically gets called in, to his captain's office afterwards for basically a chewing out. And the captain goes, right, wait here, I'm going to go and grab some recaf. Guy's sitting there. A few seconds later, door opens. Like, oh, you're back, Captain. Opens his eyes. Oh, shit, it's an Arbites judge. Hi? It's like...
Bang.
No, not bam. It's like, I like your moxie. You're going to work for me for a bit. It's like, oh, okay.
Congratulations, kid. You're being deputized.
Pretty much, yeah. So, right, come visit me in the governor's palace later. So the planetary governors... This is basically before the invasion actually begins in earnest, by the way. So planetary governors being briefed on all the this unrest being caused within the local population because of chaos cultists, but they don't know it's chaos cultists. And this results in the Arbites judge executing the planetary governor, basically saying, you're fucking incompetent, I'm taking charge. Oh no, the planetary governor's palace has just been bombed. Oh no, I'm dead.
I mean, that is something that the Arbites can do, is execute a planetary governor. So there's no canon breaking happening here.
So it's at this time that the Wordbearers themselves attack, and the Enforcer, he tries to fight against a possessed Wordbearer, gets the shit kicked out of him, gets knocked off a balcony, survives, just about, and is taken prisoner, but over the course of the story, this enforcer is basically changed as part of the slave work gangs, and he's gradually starts going insane because all the people who have been taken prisoner, they have the Star of Chaos surgically implanted, like little metal stars of chaos surgically implanted onto their foreheads under their skin. And then they eventually have these little face hugger things put onto their faces to replace their mouths with speakers. I think very, very Slaneshy, but at the same time it's very, very body horror Hellraiser. I approve. And for some reason, this one enforcer seems to be singled out by the tower that's being constructed, because the tower is being bonded with thousands upon thousands of demonic entities to basically prepare it for the planetary conjunction alignment thing, blah blah blah. And he ends up killing a couple of other slaves, even to the point where the overseers of the slave gangs are going, oh fucking, I don't want to fuck with that guy, no, because he took about 6 pain sticks to the back and he's still not going down. Fuck So he's sort of left on his own to finish construction elsewhere on the tower. But I digress. When the drop troops arrive, the slave gangs are basically pressed into action saying, right, you're a meat shield, go.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And the guys basically these people are meant to save us, but they look at us and they think we're the enemy. We're not the enemy, we're victims, blah, blah, blah. It's a really interesting way of how from a slave to Chaos's point of view in regards to the Imperium, even though the slave to Chaos is not technically, a Chaos worshipper. It's a really interesting way of how to look into it. I really do like this. And
yeah, it does sound interesting.
And it gets to the point where, there's a bit where this is before the actual Operation Human Shield, where he's on the tower and the drop troops are landing around the tower. One lands on the tower next to him, and he tries to go up to him and say, oh, thank God you're here, please help us. And, please praise the Emperor. And the drop troops like, don't you dare say the Emperor's name, Chaos Filth, bang, bang. And it's but I'm on your side. It's and then it's fight or flight takes over, and he ends up killing the drop trooper. It's oh, fuck, what do I do now?
It does sound like a really nice setup of at what point. Well, obviously the Imperium has a hair trigger in determining what is too far gone and corrupted. So it was always going to end that way. But it's a nice way of flipping it round to being, instead of this being this devoted worshippers thrown at the enemy because the Astartes don't care, they still want to be saved and they want the Imperium to help them, but they can't or they won't.
It's something you generally don't see that often, which is a very nice touch. But then, when the planetary alignment happens, the world itself basically begins to crack and suffer a huge plethora of tectonic upheavals. And this is where the story takes a complete left turn. It's
Is it an egg?
No, it's not an egg, no. The Dark Apostle's this is what I want, it's in here. What is this? It's a large black pyramid. I think you know where this is going now.
I think I do, but...
the Dark Apostle...
Beep, boop, don't wake up Grandpa.
The Dark Apostle, his first acolyte, and their Terminator bodyguards, they start going inside the pyramid. It's okay, where is this thing we're looking for? Pro right in the centre. Something's just come out of the walls. Something just stabbed this Terminator in the face. Shoot it. Bullets are going right through it. Oh, fuck. Necron Wraiths.
And this is Wraiths before they became the giant Canoptech structures. This is when they were the spindly little buggers.
Exactly, yeah. So they find their way into this grand central chamber, and there's a big dais thing that opens up to a stairway. But as the Dark Apostle and the First Acolyte are going down the stairway, they can hear the sound like this clunk, clunk, clunk. It's what's that noise?
Monolith.
No. Not one, not two, not basically pretty much every single entrance to that chamber. Oh shit, there's an entire phalanx of Necron warriors coming out of each entrance. All in lockstep unison. It's
And that was the moment at which they knew they stuffed up.
Yeah, the Dark Apostle's right, Marduk, come with me in here. Marduk being the first acolyte. Right, we're going to get this thing in here. The leader of the Terminator's like, I should come with you. It's like, no. But I have to come with you. No, you're staying here. But no. Go on. Fight him. It's like, So they go down this chamber, which is like pitch black, until they see this tiny little light at the end. They follow the light, and it's this big sphere. What the sphere actually does is not fully explained, but I assume it's touched upon in the next book. And as the Dark Apostle picks up this sphere, as they're going into the chamber with the sphere, there's like a shit ton of like millions upon millions of scarabs like scuttling around on the floor, not paying them any attention, just scuttling like a river of scarabs.
Right.
But as the sphere is picked up and the two word bearers are talking, the scarabs start merging together, like T-1000 style. And then there is a gigantic spider-bodied Necron Lord. Think like Illumina Xeris. Like the new version of Illumina Xeris. Like that size, with like a massive like double-headed halberd.
Yeah, that's a fuck, what is that thing? It's one of the new lords. It's a model. They exist. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But this is 2007 3rd edition era Necrons when they didn't actually have those yet.
Oh, wow. Hello.
Oh, yeah, the Scorpec Lord. That's the thing.
Scorpec Lord, yeah. They exist.
Yeah.
That's probably where they got them from.
But as this Necron Lord has basically formed itself up and is attacking them, the two word bearers get into an argument and start trying to kill each other. Because, of course, they do. Because, like, oh yes, this prophecy says that the prophecy of Lorgar says that only one of us walks out of here, and it's gonna be me. No, me. Bang, bang. It's like, oh fuck. To which only Marduk gets out, leaving his Dark Apostle to die. But he takes his Crozius Arcana and runs off, saying, "Haha, I am in charge now. Fuck you, bitch." And then gets out to the front, gets out to where the Terminators are. Like only half of them are left alive. And it's like, right, we're leaving now. I'm in charge. Like, no, you're not. I've got the Crozius Arcanum. He sacrificed his life to save me. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. Shut up. Now, come on, let's go.
I love how the Terminator is just having none of his nonsense.
The Terminator captain and the first acolyte do not like each other at all. Like, they really cannot stand each other. I think, if I recall correctly, there was some incident, like, before the events of the book where, like, you left me to die. Yeah. I know. You'd have done the same, so I know. And then they escape, and it's like, I've got the orb. It's like, what? I also have this Adeptus Mechanicus guy to help me with this. Ha 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 ha. To be continued. That's the very, very basic cliff notes of the story. Really good book, actually, all things considered. Even if the Necron stuff was pretty left field at the end of it.
Yeah, it definitely sounds...
The Dark Apostle was saying things like, I need this item because it's going to help me with a sorceress ritual. What is it? It's Necron technology. What?
Yeah, that's 2 and 2 makes 5.
This is like 3rd edition Necron lore as well. So...
It's certainly a bit left field, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So it's nice to see some like some 40k novels where you actually have that old Necron lore. Maybe it's just me being nostalgic, but I do miss the old, effectively the Necron Terminators, basically.
Oh, yeah, see both sides, because if you kept that, you keep that style.
I see both sides of why they can both be good. Like, I do understand, like, so I think there's been a bit of lag.
I think we may have an audio desync.
Yeah, I think so too.
Actually, I think we were talking over each other for a second there.
Like, I understand, why they went more Tomb King, because, like, if you have, like, Necrons being the nameless, the nameless horror, just like you got the Nids being the nameless horror, it's like the only difference is that one's mechanical, one's organic, in a sense.
Yeah, and also, I now seeing what they've done with the Necron characters, I think at the time, the 2010 Great Nec Retcon was a very big whiplash. But then, as they've developed the characters, people like the Silent King, people like Caesaras, and like Trazyn and Orican in the Infinite and the Divine, as nostalgic as I understand being for the old style of Necrons, and I do definitely see a place for the Merciless Killbot in the universe, even with the Tyranid still being there. I wouldn't trade out the Necron characters that we've got just to get back the feeling of Killbots, because they're really, really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, like, one of the best things about the Great Necron Retcon was the changing from the Catan from being like, these are whole Catan, but they're shit on the tabletop, to it's just a shard. That's why they're shit on the tabletop.
Yeah, it's gone from, we are your gods and masters and we enslave you. Actually, no, we enslaved you. Lol. It was quite the 180.
But yeah, overall, I really highly recommend Dark Apostle. It's really good.
Do you think you're going to read the rest of them?
Oh, in time, I definitely will, yeah.
Yeah,
and bear in mind,
you've got them.
I've got all 3 of them, yeah. And bear in mind, I'm not that much of a Wordbearers fan, and if you're not a Wordbearers fan but you want to read the Wordbearers books, that's generally a good sign.
Yeah, like if you pick up a book about a faction you don't care about and end up enjoying it, then it's even more good writing rather than just personal bias.
It's a similar thing I had when I read the Lorgar novel. Because Lorgar, he was my least favourite Primarch for a long time. Then I read that book and I was like, this is actually, at the time, it was the best book in the Primarch series, like by like a country mile.
It was the only book in the Primarch series at the time.
No, it wasn't. The first book in the Primarch series was Gilliman book.
Was it? I thought Lorgar's was first.
No, Gilliman's was first, then it was Russ. Then it was Magnus. Then it was Pers Rabba, then it was Lorgar.
Oh, I could have sworn Lorgar's was first. No, right, I've completely forgotten how that went. Oops.
There's a reason why Gilliman, Russ, and Magnus's books all are so much more expensive than the others, because they're the first 3.
Right. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense.
Gilliman's is absurdly expensive on the third market if you want a special edition. It's ridiculous. It's not even that good a book. But anyway, I digress.
Duly noted. Well, I've started reading Darkness in the Blood. I'm about a 5th of the way through it, I think, because I was waiting for the physical books to arrive after I made the order, and it still hasn't come, the physical order, for any of it. So I've just downloaded the EPUBs and I've started reading those. So I'm on page 90 on my ebook of about 490. I'm about a 5th, a little bit under a 5th of the way through it. And it has been really quite good up to this point. I don't think there's anything particularly spoiler heavy, though we do get information as to how the Blood Angels get around in the Imperium Nihilus.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously the Astronomicon is not there. It has been blocked by the Maledictum. Essentially, as far as I understand it, and it's still not entirely clear, they have what they call an angel leading them around the place in the warp. And it's not confirmed.
Say that again, sorry.
So, according to the shipmasters of the other ships, there is an angel that guides them through the warp. And another character, I think it's one of the Blood Angels, when talking to Mephiston, I'll explain Mephiston's role in all this in a second, that you've been following, I don't know if it's quite, you've been following the light of the Sanguinor for too long or something like that, I don't know. But it's possible that the Sanguinor is almost guiding the Blood Angels to where they need to go, because no capital ships should be able to travel through the warp. It's far too traumatic in the early days of the darkness, or the blackness, whichever one is the blackness, isn't it? Yeah, the Noctis Aeterna. And yet the Blood Angels are able to fly around a very large, very dangerous capital ship fleet. Granted, it's a limited resource one, but it's there. Thanks to this guiding angel, which Mephiston does his whole soul projection thing in order to follow. Like, he's in the ship with all the librarians around him, who are all basically cut open and bleeding, with serfs recutting them open constantly because they're superhuman, so their blood's clotting too fast. So they're constantly having their wounds reopened to provide blood to Mephiston for him to conjure his blood vampire soul self out into the void, literally out into the void, into the warp itself, in order to follow the Angel. And the other ships have to keep their ship in sight so they don't lose it and get lost in the warp themselves.
Huh.
And this is pre-Primaris Mephiston, just for the record. This is before he gets his Primaris powers that he has in City of Light. So it is weird, but it's also very on theme that they are only able to do this because Mephiston and the Sanguinor, aka thematic plot convenience. It is interesting, and I don't think this is new information, but did you know the Blood Angels bathe in blood as their healing chambers? Okay, good. And Dante is in it at the start, and he makes reference to two colours of blood, black and red. And foreshadowing indeed. And apparently in the healing chamber, at least his, is a minute amount of Sanguinius's blood.
Makes sense, considering that the Sanguinary priests apparently were injected with the very blood of Sanguinius from the Red Grail.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we also, again, I think this is common knowledge, Dante doesn't like being seen without his hat on.
I didn't hear what you said, you cut out.
Oh, Dante doesn't like being seen without his hat on.
Yeah, that was a big deal in his solo novel.
Yeah, because one of the Primaris is like, I have a message for Lord Dante. You're going to need to wait here, son, say the serfs, because it's a Primaris. Like, you're going to have to wait here. No, this is urgent. And barges past the serfs, and Dante hasn't got the death mask on. He's like, oh, sorry, and just quietly turns his back while Dante puts the death mask on. Which was quite a nice touch.
So didn't my serfs tell you to wait? Well, yes, but then why didn't listen? Sorry, Grandpa.
It's like, my serfs have been here a long time. You would do well to listen. And it also confirms how many equerries Dante's had.
407.
I think the actual number was 37.
Oh, I'm far off.
But they've never died in battle. Each of them has withered away while he's lived on. So he's gone through 37 sort of half generations or 37 generations of equerries.
There was that one he did kill and eat. Well,
okay, maybe not all of them, but
he drank their blood, but yeah.
Yeah. And at the moment that I've left it off, which is about chapter 9, one of the ships in the fleet has fallen behind just enough that it has become susceptible to demonic incursion. And they've also clarified how they're getting around, navigator-wise, that is.
Oh.
Because how many navigators does a standard starship have?
Oh, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
About 1. Maybe 2. Normally, because the ship has a navigator and maybe a backup one if that one needs a nap. But this one has got it was 12 navigator thrones connected in parallel. Because it's that dangerous, and the navigators were that susceptible that they had 12 separate navigators going at once with a kill switch on every single navigator throne, so that if they were to become corrupted, they would be impaled by stakes through the heart and the brain simultaneously to try and kill them.
Ah, you fool, you think this will kill me? Well, clearly you've activated my trap card and released the blood necessary to result in me ascending.
I was going to say stake through the heart. Really subtle with the vampire imagery, aren't they?
Yeah, and Dante's fangs come up at one point as well, displaying his fangs. It's like, serfs, move. Because he's not sure he's entirely in control and his fangs pop out, and that sort of thing. So, yeah. So this ship has dropped out of the warp. It's lost, I think, 10 of its navigators by this point, and they've just boarded it to try and find what's happened to it, and that's where we are. And they're saying, take the Thunderhawks back. We can't afford to lose them. And why are we not just blowing this ship up? It's been durantly corrupted, my lord. How many of this class, I think it's Revenant class battleships, how many of these have we got? Answer for you, 1. We can't lose it. So they're all talking about how limited the resources are, even after Guilliman's been to visit. Like, this is after Guilliman, because they've got Primaris now. They're stretched super thin on resources, because they're cut off from their Forge Worlds and the Imperium. So yeah, there hasn't actually been any... The only people that have died have been navigators to this point. But I think it's about to kick up with this boarding action. I'm really looking forward to picking it up. I meant to read more of it today, but I got distracted with work. But yeah, it's going well.
Fair enough. What about you, Anchors? You been reading anything?
Unfortunately, no. I haven't had the time or energy, or I'm getting my master's right now. As funny as it sounds, the guy who voices Doran, I think I talked about this. I'm getting my master's in urban and regional planning. So, city planning. Fun.
I wish there was a way that you could write your dissertation with a Dawn reference in there. Like, you come up with this design for a city layout as part of your research project, and you call it, like, the Rogel plan or something like that. As a reference or something. I know you wouldn't do it because that would be silly, but, you know, it'd be funny. Actually, that reminds me, do you remember, this went around the internet, it was a few years ago now, there was a question, a teacher had written an exam question, I think for like a law exam, about Magnus and Lehman and all this stuff. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it was Magnus Thousand's son, wasn't it? Who was like... And, like, Lehman did, like, a bunch of dog toys or something, wasn't it? And he wrote to his MP Logan Grimnar or something.
Yeah, that was it. Something along those lines. I remember that and absolutely dying with laughter. This is before I was a teacher. But I remember I was absolutely losing my mind at that. That was hilarious.
I'd probably write my dissertation, or my master's paper on, this is unironically what I'm probably going to title it, too. The importance of fortifying infrastructure positions.
Well played.
Also, I found the law thing.
Lehman Ross is a Danish businessman specialising in pet products. He is the owner of Space Wolf Products Limited, which produces famous Long Fang chew toys, which have a distinctive 12-inch wolf fang shape. The European Commission has introduced a new regulation on chew toys and pet products, which requires yada, 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 yada. Lehman believes that the real reason for this is because he recently snubbed the Swedish EU Commissioner Magnus Thousandson at a Nordic cultural event. And yada, 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 yada. Logan Grimnar, his local representative in the Danish Parliament, has promised him that the Danish government will assist him. And Lehman wants to know if there's anything he can do to stop this law. And it's I remember that. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I've not had the chance to try and make a Warhammer reference in any of my write-ups yet, because I don't get to write long-form questions like that. But I will try. I will try and weave a reference in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, but I do understand also the whole thing of doing a master's, because I did my master's a couple of years ago, and as much as I kept law videos coming... some weeks, a lot of my reading just went in the bin while I was doing my masters, and getting any content out was enough. So I understand completely how busy doing a masters can be, and I wasn't even writing a thesis or a dissertation.
Fortunately, I have to do that for mine. It's a science degree, as it turns out. Those bastards lied to me.
I mean, mine was a science degree, and I didn't have to do one. I did a research project. I was lucky.
Anyway, anything else cool happening in the Warhammer world? I could talk about the cool Crusade I've been doing, but that kind of has ended.
I mean, by all means, go ahead. I mean, it's a cool project you've done in the hobby. Go for it.
Well, I mean, it kind of ended. So I joined a Crusade, and people from the Crusade might hear this, so they can validate it, but I went 352 games with Tau, wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw.
What?
It was a lot of fun.
How?
Really good positioning is all I can really say.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense with the secondary objectives and the reliance on line of sight and terrain and blocking and all that. I can imagine that positioning is very, very important.
I mean, with obscuring terrain, is my list was basically 2 Yavaras, 2 Ghost Keels, 3 4-man squads of stealth suits, and 2 Cold Stars, and 2 5-man squads of drones. And this was before all the point changes and nerfs. I don't think I've ever seen Marine players get so butt mad at me and say that Tau are overpowered. And I'm looking at them dead in the eye. Like, are you actually... Is that a real thing you just said?
You're calling my army OP? Did you see what you did the entire last edition? To which they say, well, did you see what you did in 6th and 7th edition? But, you know.
Can't deep strike near me. You can't charge me. You can't do anything to me. And I have every ability to position myself wherever I want because I have outrageous movement speeds.
And Wall of Mirrors when required.
Yep. Oh, I use that every turn, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just picturing the list in my head and just being like, right, so I've got 2 super speedy Doom Flamers on Riptides, and then 4 invisible units that you just like can't touch this, and then drones just for fun.
Oh yeah, I suicide dive bombed my Cold Stars most of the time to take out a priority threat such as artillery or a tank or something, something that needs to die. Then I would always catapult my Yavaras up the table with a Montka, of course. I would always try to go second, and people would look at me like, why are you as Tau trying to go second? I'm like, I need them to get closer. I need them to come much closer to me. It doesn't fucking matter. Anything about objectives turn 1 doesn't matter. I don't care about that. I just need you to come like an extra 6 inches towards me, and we'll be Gucci. All the burst cannons in that list, by the way, are AP2. So strength 5 AP2, I think 64, 72 shots.
How did you get them to AP2? Advanced targeting system gets them to -1. How did you get them to -2?
The custom set gives them an extra 4 inches of range and an extra AP.
Psychic Awakening, yes, of course.
The custom set gives strength 5 AP2. So you have a strength 5 AP2, assault 4, 22-inch, toughness 4, -1 to hit, 2 up save and cover unit that will be shooting you, re-rolling ones most of the time, because obviously marker light, something. You only need 1. Yeah, it's very scary, that kind of firepower. It can really ruin most people's day when you sort of throw that at them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's a picture around here somewhere, I think describes it perfectly. Let's see if I have it still. Because my army was called the Hidari Expeditionary Fleet. And,
I mean, you should have called it the MC Hammer Fleet, because, god damn it can't be touched.
No, it can't, actually. I think at one point I had... So, in the Crusade, they had multiple planets, and you would fight on a planet, and they had this big tile system. If I can find a picture, I'll send it to you later. But basically, I was put on the Tau team, and I said, all right, guys, I'm going to fight on this one planet, and I will only fight on this one planet. And I started fighting on that planet so much, I got the attention from all 7 other teams, and they all tried to fight me all at the same time, effectively. And it was incredible to, be fighting off 7 teams of angry people trying every list they could think of to try to stop me. And I'm just... pushing them off this planet by myself.
Yeah, it's like, take 300 and add mech suits. It's like, you shall not get past us.
It's like, hippity hoppity, get off my property.
I'm assuming your team won the campaign with all your heroics.
Unfortunately, my contributions were cut short only because the actual game master of the Crusade flat out told me I could not play any more games. because he turned me into a game master and said, you have to start doing NPC faction stuff now. I can't let you keep doing this.
You are so overpowered you will ascend to Game Master godhood.
Yes. I did the effective equivalent in Crusade, or narrative campaign, of actually becoming a demon prince.
Yeah. Once I was at the whims of the Game Master. Now I am the Game Master.
You think this realm to be yours, mortal, but nay, it is mine.
I suppose you didn't do that in your Lorgar voice.
Oh, dude, the Lorgar voice. I love the Lorgar voice. I've used that so many times in past couple of weeks.
Why? If it's something you can't talk about, then I won't ask.
It's more that I've just been doing it in the middle of like class and stuff.
Oh, right. I didn't know if you'd been on like a TTS recording binge or something.
You must understand, teacher. Everything that we have here before us indicates that the infrastructure plan must be redone. The sewage system, teacher. Professor, you must understand. I've only wanted one thing, and that was sewage system redevelopment.
Not the truth, then. Or sewage system is truth or something.
Oh, dear.
Hey. He said Lorgar's only ever wanted one thing, and that's overhaul dam infrastructure.
Would that be a goddamn?
Oh my god. Please.
Right, that's all. Thanks, folks. I'm done.
Yeah, I think that's enough for now. Yeah. I'm going to head off now. It was fun being on the podcast. I mean, I know I didn't talk a whole lot, but it was fun listening to some of the major updates coming out. Added through a little commentary story in there. I mean, if you guys who are listening to this ever want me to, like, pop into your Discords, just, send me a message.
I was joking. We kind of have another half hour to go.
Oh, you're killing me here, Tactica. You've embarrassed me.
I wasn't sure if you were going all in on the method acting.
You've actually embarrassed me, Tactica.
You've been bamboozled.
I've been bamboozled. What a shame you've brought upon my house. I will have to now commit harakiri using a bandsaw.
Oh, that reminds me, speaking of houses and that, we need to do a short at some point of Rogaldor's reaction to when Jagatai Khan gave him a bunch of horses as a gift.
Oh, that's right. He did do that, didn't
he?
Didn't Dorn put them in a stable or something, like a really magnificent stable?
I don't think it was actually explaining what Dorn did with them. It was just like, as a gift to his brother Dorn, Jagatai gave him his 30 of his finest stallions. It's like Dorn just going, what the fuck am I going to do with these?
I would like to imagine Dorn, being Dorn, really appreciated the gift and put them in, a majestic, enormous ranch. And, 10,000 years later, that stable, or whatever, has, turned into, the greatest horses in the Imperium.
But considering this is the Imperium, part of me thinks, the serfs will be eating well tonight.
Oh, God.
Anyhow.
Oh, goodness. Anything going on in terms of your tabletop game experience?
We're in England.
Yes, my question still stands.
We're in lockdown. Everything's closed.
All right. Well, see, you could go out onto the street and start throwing dice at each other on the cold pavement.
Yeah, but that then requires breaking other forms of social distancing, like traveling, because none of us have friends I don't have friends that live near me that would play. So, I have got a colleague at work who I've agreed to play Kill Team with when we can, but at the moment the schools are closed as well, so we're not even in work properly.
That's terrifying.
But
hang on, someone's pounding on my door. I'm in the middle of something. What do you need?
That would be a plot twist. That would be a serious plot twist. But yeah, I do want to get back into gaming, and I will. But to be fair, at least it's letting me. I nearly said clear my model backlog, and then I just side-eyed the 30 Dark Elf infantry that are lying around and the giant pile of Lumineth I know is going to be coming onto my desk when Broken Realms Techless comes out. I mean, I managed to paint 8 shields yesterday. I painted 8 shields. I got something done. So I've now got a nice round number of Dread Spears finished.
Fair enough.
I might try over the weekend. I'll see how I go tonight with some work, but I might try and do another archer or two, another archer and another spearman over the weekend. Just start getting back into Lumineth a bit now that I've got a round number of Darkling Covens done. And then when I get to half term, I'll get a load of stuff done in the first couple of days and then just go hobby crazy for a few days and try and paint up another 10 Dread Spears or something like that.
Fair enough.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've cleared your painting backlog or if you're still...
No, I've still got mine to get through.
Yeah, I suppose when you've got as many videos as you throw out, and such high quality ones as well, even with your lack of sleep, you still don't have enough hours to get onto hobby.
No.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Right. Shall we do some questions?
I believe so, considering that we've got like less than half an hour to go, so yeah.
Yes, we've got about half an hour, so we do. Right. Let's see here. Had one, then I've lost it. Darn it.
Don't know what you had to
here we go. In the Dark Angels Codex, it states... Now, this is the old Dark Angels Codex, the 8th edition one, not the 9th edition one. It states that the Tech Marines are not part of the Inner Circle due to mixed loyalties between the chapter and Mars. This is common knowledge. The Tech Marines are not in the Inner Circle. Yet, in Eye of Ezekiel and War of Secrets, we are shown 2 examples of Tech Marines hunting Fallen or keeping this chapter's secret from Mars. Do you think this will ever be expanded upon, or simply here and there happenstance?
From what I can recall with Eye of Ezekiel, it's been a while since I've read the book, I'll admit, but from what I can recall, the Tech Marine initially did not know anything in regards to the Fallen and only learned about it because an Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest himself learned of the Fallen and had like a videotape. I have a videotape. This is a secret your brothers are keeping from you. And the Tech Marine just basically chucked it into, like, a fire, essentially, and then killed the tech priest, and then chucked his body in the fire to cover it up. And went, I saw nothing.
I mean, that does count as keeping the secret, I suppose.
It does, yeah, but it's not really counting as them, hunting the Fallen, because they didn't fucking know what the fuck they were there for. As far as they were aware, they were just defending a city from an orc invasion.
Yeah, and in War of Secrets, I don't remember how a Tech Marine comes to learn or be involved in the hunt for the Fallen in
War of Secrets. The only non-captain officers that I know of, I can recall in War of Secrets learning of it or knowing of it was the apothecary and the librarian. Because the apothecary says the Primaris knows, the patient died, stab, stab. And the librarian was like, I'm just going to put a blessing on your gun so it doesn't explode. Shifty eyes. Oh no, your gun's exploded. That's what I recall. Yeah. That's what I can recall in More Secrets. But again, it's been a while since I read that book as well.
Yeah, and I only really read the Tau bits. I'll be completely honest. I only read the Tau bits.
Fair.
Okay. I have not read the Marnius Calgar comic, so I can't really comment on it. I don't know if you've had a chance, though. I think we'd have talked about it if you had.
No, I haven't, no.
Okay, here's one. Do the Drukhari enslave enslavers, or are they too much of a potential risk?
I don't recall any instances of them enslaving an enslaver, because, let's be bloody honest, an enslaver can enslave pretty much anything with a brain. So I doubt that the Drukhari would even dare it to risk it, because, otherwise, hey, all these, what are those birds that the Drukhari use?
Razor Wings are the flyers.
Might be Razor Wing, actually.
I think it might still be the Razor Wings.
But yeah, because one slaver is hey, I can control this entire pack, or this entire flock of birds that have feathers as hard as diamond that can literally just tear you in half just by flying into you. You can't fucking touch me. Like, I'll control you. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and even worse, if they do manage to sneak a Psyker into Komara, that's suddenly a gateway.
Yeah. Considering that, I think like the only Psykers that are allowed in Komara are Harlequin Shadow Seers, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you are an enslaver who enslaves, an Archon on the Subtle, and you capture a Psyker and forget to execute them before you bring them back to Komara because you didn't know any better, the enslavers could absolutely overrun Komara in 10 seconds flat.
Yeah.
So...
It's basically it's that Junji Ito manga all over again. The hanging balloons. It's that all over again. If you've not read the hanging balloons, I warn you, it's Junji Ito, so it's pretty fucked up, like all the stuff, but it's really good. Just fucked up.
Duly noted.
But again, that's Junji Ito in a nutshell. I mean, have you read Uzumaki?
No.
Story about the spiral. Literally, he can make something as simple as the concept of a spiral terrifying. Just a spiral. The shape, the shape. Mm-hmm. He makes that terrifying. It's mad. Oh, what's the other one? The Enigma of Amagari Fault? I think that one.
This isn't my style of literature, to be honest.
You're not a horror fan, no?
No. I've said many times when Warhammer Horror was being revealed, it's not my thing. Never has been. Okay. I had one and then I went scrolling. Where's it gone?
I don't know. Where has it gone?
Not helpful.
Where's the land source?
Oh, that got me. Do you think Games Workshop will do Gay Vesa models for the Tau?
Didn't they do some for Forge World a while back, though? Back when
maybe like
when the Taros campaign first came out, I'm pretty sure they did like some Gay Vesa conversion kits or something. That were basically just parts of plastic guardsmen, like new shoulder pads and heads and stuff.
Maybe? I don't remember.
I think they might have done, but this is years and years and years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. As for are they going to put them in the Codex? No. Because the fact that Gene Stealer cults already have, hey, let's steal stuff from the Astra Militarum and do it slightly differently, I don't think it's really going to be right to give the Tau the ability to take the Astra Militarum Codex and do it slightly differently.
Even then, all you're going to get is guardsmen with pulse rifles.
Except half the time Gay Vesa don't even use pulse rifles.
I mean, it'd be the only way that Tau infantry would ever get their hands on, a 3-8 ballistic skill. Imperial Guard veterans being given pulse rifles, that's the only time you're ever going to see Tau infantry shooting.
I still love... I love the fact that the Tau are the most advanced military society in the galaxy, where controlled bursts of overwhelming firepower are the most important thing in their militaristic code, and they are as good of a shot as your average Joe who just got conscripted to the army, who's a human.
Because didn't in older editions, didn't the Tau actually have a better ballistic skill than guardsmen in older editions? Like, wasn't it something like they were weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 4?
I think so.
As far, I've only played them since 7th edition, and they were ballistic skill 3 by then. I don't know back in 3rd or 4th edition whether they were ballistic skill 4, but certainly I don't remember anyone kicking up a stink at any point of, hey, they just nerfed Tau's ballistic skill. I remember, because the Hammerhead was the only thing in the army that was ballistic skill 4 that wasn't a commander, because the Hammerhead, for some reason, has a better hit roll than everybody else. Okay, this one will probably take a while. Which 9 legions would you have liked to have been the loyalists in an ideal heresy scenario? So we're not doing a full swap, but which 9 would have been, in your opinion, would you have wanted to be the 9 loyalists?
I think the ones we got.
Yeah, I think the ones we got are pretty much fine, yeah.
Yeah, like there's an argument of maybe swap the Thousand Suns for somebody, but then who do you swap out?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because it's sort of like the traitor legions are all far more interesting character-wise of why did I get the broken ones and all that stuff that Horus used to say in Slaves to Darkness. But the loyalists are kind of just everybody else, that the ones who are either too noble or too boring to have flipped sides.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have liked to have seen the Iron Warriors and the Imperial Fists actually have been loyal together. That would have been a really... Maybe actually throw more traitor legions in, and then just have the two defense legions just be thrown in a situation where they overcome their hate through intense moments of forced cooperation.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say intense moments of fortification.
That too. I mean, imagine it. Perturabo and Dorn, like, having their obvious, like, disagreements and arguments about how to approach things, and then, like, Dorn realizing that, he's got to make some casualty calls here where he can't save everybody or limit casualties. He basically, at times, has to throw his men into what is effectively a meat grinder. And then Perturabo realizing that, he can't sustain losses like this, so he's got to be more conservative because he's cut off. It would be an interesting dynamic, I think, where, it would jade the Imperial Fist a little bit more and lighten the hearts of the Iron Warriors a bit.
I could certainly see it working. And certainly it would have been nice to see I know they're not going to... Maybe Dawn's Primarch novel, if there ever is one, might detail his relationship with Perturabo or something. Maybe. Okay, this is an interesting one. Can a Titan become the equivalent to a Freeblade?
Theoretically, yes, if their forge roll is destroyed.
I agree with this right up to the point of how on earth do you maintain it? Like, a knight's one thing. Like, knights are hard to maintain, not making any bones about that. But they don't need an entire army of tech priests just to run. A knight is a single pilot war machine. Right,
a majority. It would actually become a Titan house as opposed to a Knight house, and it would be effectively the Legion was on deployment when the Forge World was destroyed, and now they have no home, and they can either be sucked up by another Titan Legion, their assets distributed, or they can do their own thing, as it were. But that second one is really dangerous for Imperial institutions, and they would probably get broken up real quick.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of dangerous to Imperial institutions, let's talk about Belisarius Cawl. Throughout many short stories and novels, we are specifically told by the High Lords, Agents of the Mechanicus, Inquisitors, Custodes, and Firstborn not to trust Belisarius Cawl. Gillen speculates often what Cawl's endgame is because he claims he knows it's not for the betterment of mankind. This is, and I quote, a striking parallel to Fabius Bile, who we are told by the traitor leaders not to trust, even though they employ his services and are still betrayed by him. This also parallels many other characters who benefit their faction only to screw it over. So, does this mean that Cawl will either become a political threat or outright betray the Imperium?
Cawl is the pump and dump of the technology sector for the Imperium of Man in terms of stocks.
And in English?
He's probably going to do some wacky shit coming up in the next little bit here, where he fucks over the Mechanicum especially, because he just believes they need to be gutted so thoroughly to, like, continue to advance science, and that's going to fuck humanity really badly.
Possible. I think there's a lot of people who've sort of said that the biggest danger is Cawl becoming Fabricator General, because at that point he can legally, if you like, take the Mechanicus in whatever direction he wants.
Yes and no, because, I mean, do you remember that scene with Lex Luthor and the question where Lex Luthor says, do you have any idea how much power I would have to give up to become president? It's the same situation.
Fair point.
True, but at the same time, if he's Fabricator General, he's not only going to have the authority as being a High Lord, he's also going to be in charge of effectively an entire empire. Because remember, the Mechanicus is not strictly a part of the Imperium. It's effectively an allied state more than anything.
Legally, anyway. In reality, it is kind of annexed, but in law, it's allied.
I mean, considering that there was actually a big deal in the Warhammer crime novels, how towns were basically segregated into this is the Imperium section, this is the Mechanicus section, with different laws in each. Fair
enough. I'd forgotten that.
Because that was the plot of one of the crime novels, wasn't it? Because there was a murder, and it's and this is raising tensions between the two, two sides. Oh fuck, what do we do? Kind of thing. We better track down that killer. Ooh.
But yeah, I can certainly see there being a grand plot to assassinate Belisarius Cawl at some point. At which point it'll be interesting to see how Guilliman reacts to that, because Guilliman could put a stop to it and just keep a really close watch on Cawl to make sure he doesn't screw him, or he might think, okay, Cawl, you've served your purpose, we have the technology now, we have your STCs, let's get rid of you.
Oh no, I was too late to stop the assassination. Oh no.
What a disaster. How will the Imperium... Oh wait, his STCs are right over there. Carry on.
Oh god, I just realised that Guilliman's going to be Jeremy Clarkson in this instance. Oh no. Anyway.
That's a good meme.
Yes.
And speaking of new Space Marines, what does obviously this is going to vary greatly. What does a newly founded chapter actually look like? Does it have 1,000 Marines from the start? Are they all scouts? Who forms the Librarius, the Apothecon, the command structure? Apothecarian.
They typically take around 200-something Marines, and they it acts as sort of like a growing force. They get I think they get 100 years or so to get their shit together in terms of recruitment and training. They also always get they get donations from other chapters and the parent legion, basically.
Yeah.
The original force is never just a random crop up of people who have no idea what the hell they're doing. You always have the chapter is always founded from veterans.
Yeah, there was actually, if I recall correctly from the Luther novel, it's not really a spoiler per se, because it's talking about the disciples of Caliban, which we know pretty much about anyway. But basically, the first disciple of Caliban chapter master was a captain of the Dark Angels. So it's
yeah, and we know that when I know this is the splitting of the legions, but when the legions were split, their commanders were leaders of the legion generally, and the size of the Emperor came about because of veterans of Sotha and the Battle of Sotha in the Heresy and that sort of thing. I'm struggling to think of more modern examples, but that sort of idea.
And then the Imperial Fist, when they went extinct, they were reformed at full chapter strength.
Yes, because everyone gave up 160 Marines that they definitely needed in order to refound the Parent Legion.
It's we need to reform the Parent Legion, have every successor chapter donate portions of their stocks. So basically, we got Crimson Fist, Black Templars, Soul Drinkers, hang on.
Yes, pretty much.
So the Monday Imperial Fist, they got two daddies.
Quite so.
I mean, officially, the Soul Drinkers, on paper, they were Imperial Fist, and then the Angel Sanguine did a test of the genes, so you're yeah, it's not actually Dawn, mate. It's not even close to being Dawn. And they're like, no, you will not take Daddy Dawn from us. It's already did. Bye-bye. That's canon, by the way.
Yeah, we know.
But I'm talking about the Firstborn, not the Primaris version of the Soul Drinkers. Though strangely enough, the Primaris version of the Soul Drinkers, they were never actually told what Primarch they actually had. It's just only assumed that they're still Dornian. So for all we know, they could be fucking Ravenguard for all we fucking know, but hey.
Honest question, who do you think's going to come back? I think we talked about this last time, but has your opinion changed at all? Who do you think's coming back first?
First?
I mean, Sanguinius has technically been the next Primarch brought back that's a loyalist, because, he exists in a cage of... He exists in a palace
we're not getting into that, Crystal.
if they're going to bring another Loyalist Pariah back, it's going to be the Lion, just purely on the basis of the fact, hey, this one's confirmed to still be alive. Let's bring him back.
I don't think they're going to do that, mostly because they're gonna save him specifically for a big Luther Dark Angel shit show, and they're trying to figure out how to approach that.
They've already set it up.
Yeah, I know. They're trying to figure. Have they started it?
Luther's escape, and there's rumors of a fallen army under Luther and Marwis's command.
That I know. I'm saying like the actual plot for the whole thing.
No, they haven't made any further moves in terms of hunting Luther down. No. Because only Azrael actually knows that Luther is a thing. So there's not much Azrael can do about it.
Not strictly true. The disciples of Caliban know as well.
Okay, only Azrael should know. Sorry.
And the disciples.
We know.
And the Watchers.
And most of the chaplaincy.
No, the chaplains don't actually.
Really?
Yeah, Luther is the big secret that only the Supreme Grand Master is supposed to know. The only reason the disciples of Caliban know is because they had to know of Luther's existence purely because of their job, that is hunting down Cypher. Don't ask me how that ties in together. You have to read the Luther novel to get a better explanation. They do explain it, so. But yeah.
Okay, where are we?
Have we had an audio desync?
So there's a question. No,
I think my audio's died. No?
No, I've got you. I can hear you.
Fair enough.
Okay. In one of the Caiaphas Cain novels, it is mentioned that in order to give Commissar veterans a bit more of a degree of importance and respect, they were given the title of Lord Commissar, which is a relatively new addition and one that Cain doesn't like. Is there any institution in the Imperium left at this point which doesn't use medieval-like honorifics, or at least has kept its original titles from day dot?
The Scions.
I mean, they used to be the Solar Auxilia, so... kinda. In terms of roles, anyway, the Solar Auxilia were the elite infantry, and then that was reformed into the Militarum Tempestus, I guess.
I can't think of any that's kept their original name.
No, the Space Marines obviously changed everything when they went from Legion to Chapter. The Sororitas are almost too recent. The Custodes, I think the Custodes still use Shield Captain and stuff.
But even then, they changed from Legio to Adeptus, didn't they? So
they did. They are now an Adeptus rather than a Legio, absolutely. The Mechanicus, I don't think, have changed. Well, obviously, they went from the Mechanicum to the Adeptus Mechanicus. But I think the Collegia Titanicus still follows the same conventions it always did.
Yeah, because they're too big and slow.
But yeah, certainly that style of honorific has definitely been the Imperium's thing the entire time. Ever since even the Thunder Warriors and the original Custodes.
I'm just reminded now of one scene from one of the Siege of Terror books where it basically we have this leader of a secular Imperium going on about crusades.
That makes total sense.
I just found that funny.
It is definitely funny. And speaking of secular versus religion in the Imperium, how do you think Guilliman will react to reading the Lectitio Divinitatus? Hang on, that's Lorgar's book.
He's eating it right up.
Yeah,
he's gonna eat it all. He's gonna start praising his dad like the god he is, and clearly
he's gonna start reading it and find out it's actually a Japanese farming supplement.
What do you mean Lorgar has 500 positions on Dogecoin?
So Vietnamese potbelly pig has 12 breasts. Or something. I watched Bottom last night.
Lorgar's fanfic novel.
What?
Yep.
Oh, he wrote that story about that Spirit of the Wind from the Lumineth.
that note, I am getting dragged away, unfortunately, so I do have to go. It's been fun being here. I mean, I think we're about 8 minutes away from the 2-hour mark anyway.
Yeah, we're on about the right time.
Yeah. Anyway, kind of dragged on there a little bit. Casual discussion. It's really fun, guys.
And thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I didn't bring the energy this time. It's just taking 5 graduate courses at the same time tends to be a kind of a sucker punch to the gut.
Understandable.
Can imagine.
Yeah, see you guys. Subscribe to the podcast, everybody who's listening. You know, yada yada. See you.
Take care, Anchors. So, do we do one more, or shall we end it there?
Well, I didn't answer any AOS questions because I was being a bit careful, so I didn't actually answer any. But I think I'm just having a look because we get some questions that come up a lot. Things like there's like questions that I've had for like absolutely ages that get asked every episode, and I always just don't get time to answer them. It's like, which fate is worse, being infected with the Flayer virus or being fully conscious whilst being trapped inside a Necron tomb for 65 million years, and things like that.
In the case of that question, I'm probably being conscious and immobile for 65 million years because that would just drive you insane. I
mean, the Flayer virus is also insanity, so it's just which flavour of insane do you like?
Yeah, but at least, you know, you can still do shit when you're a Flayer, even if you're batshit crazy and want to kill everything. You know, if you can't do anything and you're just stuck in a prison, that's just a prisoner of your own mind for 65 million years. I mean, do you remember what happened with Shasso Kais? He was conscious for like 300 years, and he turned into a fucking psychopath.
Yes, this is true. This is very true. And the other question that person often asks is, who actually wins if GW gave the go-ahead to permanently kill Russ or Magnus? Who actually wins?
I didn't know what you said, so you cut out, sorry.
If GW gave the go-ahead to permanently kill Russ or Magnus, give full power, full prep, everything they need to do, who wins?
Magnus, because you
can't
kill off a demon properly, can you?
I mean, yes, at this point, Magnus does kind of win because of Demon, but I think even before Demon, I still think Magnus is walking out of that one. I don't know why. I think it'd be pretty close.
Hasn't he lost every single Primarch fight he's been in, though?
I mean, how many has he been in?
Well,
2?
He lost against Russ. He lost against Vulcan. There was one other one, wasn't there?
He beat Gilliman.
Yeah, but that was
Demon.
Yeah, that was Demon Magnus. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Didn't Kurz beat him up at one point?
I mean, Kurz beat up everybody.
Yeah.
Kurz is monstrously powerful. But there's a theory that... there is a theory that Magnus slightly pulled his punches on Prospero because he still wasn't fully committed even when he had to face down Russ. But I'm not sure I believe that.
I mean, Vulcan beat the absolute shit out of him to the point where he was literally beating him to death. And it was like, well, the only way I'm surviving is if I sense demonhood. Boom, bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, that was super crazy Vulcan, wasn't it? Rather than...
That was super pissed off Vulcan, yes.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't insane Vulcan. It was just super angry Vulcan.
Yeah, it's like, you killed one of my sons. Now I'm killing you.
Yeah, that sounds like Vulcan.
All this could have been avoided if you just gave me a damn hug.
Yes. And speaking of which, I think we will try and look... Since we've had pretty much everybody else off of TTS, I do think we need to try and get Mr. Vulcan onto our programme at some point.
Yes. We'll see what we can do in that regard, yes.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
So, on that note, thank you very much for everyone who tuned in this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. And...
yes.
Yeah, so, normally this is where we say goodbye to our guest, but he's already gone for the day, but never mind.
Yeah.
These things happen.
But thank you again to Anchors for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you if you are watching this back. And, yeah.
So, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.